Audible lets you enjoy all your audio entertainment in one app. You'll always find the best of what you love or something new to discover.
That sure is true. Audible offers an incredible selection of audiobooks across every genre. Bestsellers, new releases, celebrity memoirs like the Britney Spears book that just came out, mysteries and thrillers, motivation, wellness, business, and so much more.
I personally just listened to Heather Gay's Bad Mormon, kind of for Real Housewives of Salt Lake City research, but also just for fun to listen to it because it was a good book. And it's great. I mean, it's her actually reading it. And it is so nice to run around and do my errands and be able to listen to a book. Because let's face it, I will crash my car if I try to read it physically.
It's a great use of Audible. So try Audible free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/crappins or text crappins to 500-500. That's audible.com/crappins or text crappins to 500-500.
Watch what crappens. Who cares what happens when there's so much that crappens? Watch what crappens. Who cares what happens when there's so much that crappens?
Hello and welcome to Watch What Crappens, a podcast about all that crap on Bravo that we just love to talk about. I'm Ben Mandelker, and joining me today is the one and only Mr. Ronnie Karam. Hi, Ronnie. How are you?
What's up?
Today we have a very special episode because we are welcoming back Southern Hospitality, which we were so happy to see got a second season. We felt we were afraid we were the only ones watching the show, but you know, they got a second season out of it because the first season was hilarious and wonderful. So we're going to talk about that. Before we even dive into that, we're also going to talk Below Deck Med. We're not doing a full recap this week, but we're going to touch on it here before we get into the Southern Hospitality. Before we dive into all of that, thanks everyone who came to Crappy Hour. If you missed it, it's still up on our social media. And of course, the episode is in our feed. So go listen to that. Be sure you're subscribed to this show and not just listening, because that way you get all these episodes and you always know where they are. And we're on Crappens On Demand. Hi, Crappens On Demand people. Sorry, forgot to play the little jingle at the beginning. My bad. If you want to watch us, not just listen to us, go to patreon.com/watchwhatcrappens. And you support on the Crappens On Demand level, you can watch these videos. And you also get access to our weekly bonus episode. Our bonus this week, of course, Vanderpump Rules trailer breakdown. Trailer trash. It's going to be great. So, everyone, that's all the news. So, patreon.com/watchwhatcrappens in case I didn't say that. And now...
All right, let's get into it. So now, Below Deck Mediterranean. If you were looking for a recap last week, there's just too much. There's too much. So it's on the Salt Lake City, right, Ben?
No, last week, didn't we do a full recap last week? We did a full recap last week, didn't we?
We did?
I think it was the week...
I think we did a half.
Oh. Okay. Well, if we don't have a full one...
If there was a week we missed, it's at the beginning of another recap.
It was at the beginning of Salt Lake City, either last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So if you're missing it, go check it out. But yeah, we're just going to give mini caps because honestly, this show, like as much as we enjoy this show, and we do, it's never ending. I mean, I guess Housewives are never ending too, right? Mm-hmm. Currently, there are 4 of them on, and it's literally the same thing every week on everyone, but we still love that, you know, we don't mind the repetition. But Below Deck is literally sometimes just watching people work. So if we're going to skip something, it's watching people clean a toilet. Now that said, it really is hard to miss this one because when there's someone who gives you rage like Kyle,
yeah,
that's a fun thing. It's fun. I love rage. I love feeling rage flow through me. So I hate missing out on a full rage fest. So we still have to do a little bit at the beginning of this recap.
And this was this episode of Below Deck Med was Kyle pulling sympathy cards for the audience. Everything was like, oh, I feel like this is Kyle at 21, you know, not Kyle at 31. You know, it takes me all the way back there because he's upset because people don't like him because he's been a monster. And so, you know, have the new girl and you have Jack, the chef, who don't really feel like talking to him. Jack is icing him out. And Jack is the only one who seems to understand how to deal with someone like Kyle, which is that he's just not going to engage with him. Jack is like, you know, when you talk to Kyle, what he does is he feeds off of it. He feeds off of confrontation. So I'm just not going to give it to him. And it works. Kyle cannot deal. But the new girl, she makes things nice by the end of the episode. But Kyle is now doing the whole crying, calling his boyfriend, standing up on the deck while an opera singer sings and patting his eyes like Candace with a handkerchief, feeling sad for himself for being a terrible person.
Yeah, and part of it worked on me. Part of whatever manipulation did work on me. Because at one point I was like, I think maybe Kyle just doesn't really understand how gross he is. He just doesn't know. And so when he's confronted by people not just making nice with him, like he's not getting the drama from Jack or Lily, right? And they've both chosen until this episode, damn you, Lily, they've both chosen to just blow him off and treat it like it's no big deal. And that's when someone like Kyle starts spiraling out of control. But I'm like, maybe he just doesn't see how terrible he is. But then when he pulled it around to like, this is 21-year-old Kyle, basically insinuating bullying, like this is like what it was like when I was bullied or closeted, and I can't believe that this is still, this is what I'm dealing with now. And he kind of turned it to that way where I was like, okay, well, I felt for you for a good 5 minutes. Listen, if you want to get me to feel for you, cry. I will always fall for crying. If I see some real tears, I will be like, I feel for you. But then it evaporated very, very quickly because he just can't help himself. Like immediately after, he's like, and guess who's on my radar now.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Well, and also these did not feel like real tears. He was just like, at one point when he is standing on the deck while there's an opera singer singing to the guests, and he's just dabbing his eyes, and he's like, oh, baby's me. I was like, I can't. I'm sorry. Look, I will hold space for the fact that his upbringing was probably very, very challenging. Being a closeted gay boy in a conservative family, perhaps in a conservative community, yada, yada, yada. That all comes with a huge amount of trauma and difficulty, and it manifests in ways. And so on some level, I feel badly for him that, this is the manifestation of all that. The way he acts, the way he pits people against each other, it speaks to deep insecurities and self-loathing that comes from that period of his life, etc. I feel bad for that. But that being said, he still is doing this stuff, and I feel worse for the people who are the victims of his insecurity and his the way he behaves and the way he pits people against each other. I feel worse for those people than I do for Kyle, because they are innocent victims to his self-loathing, and he needs to get help, if that makes sense. It's like I can only feel so bad for Kyle because he can't talk about being 31 and having oh, I'm older and wiser now, and yet he's not doing things to change his behavior.
Well, I think if his conversation with the audience was more like, you know what, I'm horrible.
Yeah.
And I've always been horrible. And how do I stop being horrible? Okay, that would be a conversation
that very sympathetic, right? Because we all understand that.
You'd be sympathetic because you're like, okay, I have that conversation with myself all the time, where I'm like, why am I so negative? Or how come every time I make a comment, it has to sound like that? Like this, just the tone is just like, I have a lot of things with myself that even when I want to work on things with myself, or try, or go to therapy, or read a self-help book, or whatever it is, that I just can't seem to get on top of. And I guess we all kind of have that, right? Where we all want something to be better about ourselves or something to be different. So I get that, but he's not being that way. He's like, why are they being like this to me?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? He's saying like, why am I miserable? He is saying that. And that's kind of where I felt for him, because I was taking that at the beginning, a little of when he started the whole, like, I'm just miserable. And like, why am I so miserable? And I can't stand being miserable. Part of me started to feel for him there, because I was like, okay, well, maybe he means like, why am I such a miserable human being? And how do I change this? Like, are these patterns in me that I can change? But no, that's not what he was saying. He was like, why am I miserable? Everybody's making me miserable. And this is so exhausting. Everybody being so miserable to me bullied. Is so exhausting.
Feels like
I can't
bullying.
take it.
I think that's, I'll amend what I'm saying, which is that, at 31, I mean, that's still pretty young. It's not like you just like, oh, I should be in therapy by now. Where you have that reasonable Like I think people who are in their 40s who are still dealing with the damage of their childhoods or whatever, who are not in therapy, I'm like, okay, now you're too old. You have to be in therapy. You can't be making these same mistakes. 31 is still relatively young.
Oh, well, I got news for you. That shit never ends.
It never ends.
It's like it really is a cycle. You know, my grandmother was going off about what happened in her childhood just as deeply at the end of her life as she ever was. My mom still does it. I still do it. It's like some weird thing where no matter what kind of therapy or whatever. And
therapy doesn't, it's not like it's like once you're in therapy, it's all fixed. It definitely is not. But it's more like my amendment to what I was saying about Kyle is more like, it's sort of building off what you said, which is that there was no sense of self-awareness with him. There's not a sense of like, oh, I probably bring this on myself, or I always do. I do this. I pit people against each other because my own insecurity. It's more just like people are out to get me, and I don't know what it is, and I just try to be a service queen, and everyone just wants to undermine me at every chance. And it's like, no, that's not. No, you were actively undermining people at all times, and then they react to you, and then you're shocked. You're shocked that they react, that they don't necessarily like your behavior, and it's like that lack of self-awareness is what's really frustrating.
Yeah, but hilarious too, because just having people who don't react to him or give him what he wants and just watching him cave, like immediately cave. Okay, so we've got this new chick, Lily, who is just awful. Like she's literally terrible, and she's such a nice person too, and she's like so cool and funny and fun, and you want to like Lily, but damn, she sucks. I mean, listen, not everybody's going to be good at every job. But how many times do you have to be told how to make a bed? I mean, this girl is like literally jumping on a bed to make it.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants your unsanitary ass. And I just mean because you're a human. Rolling all over their beds. Stop rolling on the beds. Like, she's making the bed by like holding down one end and then jumping across it on top of the bed and then tucking it in that. Walk around the bed, Lily. Walk around the bed. I've never felt more like a parental figure than screaming at someone this episode on how to make a bed.
And she does that thing where she says that something's done and it's not done at all, and it's driving Toomey mad and Jessica mad, and she's just like useless. She's very, very useless. And what's weird is that they're saying like, oh my God, just 3 nights left and the season's over. But then what happens is at the end of the episode, basically Toomey tells Sandy that Lily is dead weight, because Toomey gets in trouble because at the very top of the episode, Kyle is calling for deckhands to help with service. And so Sandy has to wake up Laura to help out with service, even though there's 2 stews that are downstairs that are working. So Sandy later on is like, hey, you know what? Hey, tip meeting everyone. Toomey, if there's two stews downstairs, you gotta let one of them help with service before we wake up the deckhands, okay? Because I did that and I didn't know that's what was going on. So Toomey then clarifies, by the way, the reason why that situation was happening is because Lily is dead weight. And so Sandy calls up Lily to say, listen, I'm going to give you one more chance or something like that. But in my mind, Ronnie, what I'm all trying to get to is if there's 3 nights left, what is the point of saying you get one more chance? Are there going to be 2 charters in 3 days? I'm really confused.
Maybe. But also Sandy does this thing where she thinks she can talk intelligence into people. And that's just not how it works, you know? And I actually really like Lily. But Toomey's like, she's dead weight. She's zero help. And Sandy's like, you know what? I'm going to talk to her. That's not going to help. You can't talk somebody into being competent. The girl's trying. I mean, she's not just lying around, which you can say, you know, for her. She's not being lazy. She's just really, really dull. And she's trying, you know, she even whips out, listen, and I think we all do this. You know, when I have a problem and I really want to get my shit together, do you know what I say?
What?
I'm whipping out my iPad. Every time I'm whipping out my iPad. For some reason, that makes me feel smarter, especially when there's a keyboard on it.
Yeah.
And that's what she's doing, where she's like, I have an iPad and it has a keyboard, so I'm just writing things down as a list. Because you know what? It's more efficient writing it down on an iPad than it is on paper. So here, I'm going to write a list. 5 towels, 4 hand towels, 3 toilet papers. Wrote it on the iPad. It doesn't help. Now you're just in a corner on a fucking iPad. Like, what do you have to go to the coffee shop and like listen to music and drink some coffee while you write your fucking thing? This is not for you to be inspired. Get the fucking toilet paper. Like, you can't make someone smarter. And it's frustrating to even see somebody have that talk. Now, another thing that's frustrating because it doesn't work. Is what I mean. Another thing that's frustrating is Toomey, like, I like Toomey, and I think she gets better. I think she's getting better at handling everything as she gets used to the season going on. But I think her main flaw is just shit talking the people, instead of saying like, listen, here's what I've noticed about you, Lily. You move really slowly. She's like, you know what, Lily? Jess came up to me and told me that you're dead weight. Like, you can't say that. Stop doing that.
She really is bad at that. Yeah, she has to just... even though most people can deduce where the complaint comes from, you have to you gotta protect the people who are coming to you who have like reasonable issues, and you just have to say, Lily, it's been brought to my attention, you're taking a long time, you need to speed up, or whatever it is. Like, you don't even say it's been brought to my attention, just say, Lily, you're taking too long, yada yada. But yeah, she keeps on throwing people's names under the bus, and so I think it's been years since we've seen an interior that's been this dysfunctional all season long. And as much as I like to me,
is like, I mean, you should be able to go to your boss and say, listen, I have a problem with so and so. That's how you're supposed to do it. You're not supposed to go to the person and be like, I have a problem with you, and here it is. I mean, maybe in real life, that's what you do. You confront it head on. But in work, you don't do that. You have to go to your boss, and you have to work. That's just the proper channel. So when you do that, and then your boss turns around and like rats you out to the person that you were just talking about, it's not like Jess was saying anything mean about her. You know, it's like to go rat her out. She was just doing her job by telling you. And so for you taking that and using it against her, and now you've put the employees against each other again, and now you've got this girl Lily all upset on a personal level, and now she's fighting with Jess, and you did that. What the hell?
Yeah. The other thing is Haley, the deckhand, she feels sick, so she's throwing up. She's barely been on the season. So I was like laughing that she actually had like something to do in the episode, and that was to throw up. And then the other big thing that happened in the episode was that one of the guests, this guy Amish, he was awful. He gets really wasted. He's one of those guests that like goes to, like, everyone's gone to sleep and he's gone to sleep, but then he comes out again and he's walking around drunkenly, and he starts going into the crew mess, and then he starts going into the quarters. And he like knocks on doors and then just opens them, and you can't blame the alcohol on that one, because you know what you're doing. Like these are not the guest rooms. He's pretending like they're the guest rooms. He's like calling out for his friend or something, and he'll like knock and open the doors. You just can't do that. Like that like. If any of the women, I think, had been in a state of like undressed, that would have been like a major issue. And this guy was awful. And so Sandy had to have a meeting with a primary and say, like, he's got to be put under control. Otherwise, he's going to be off the boat. I'm actually surprised he wasn't kicked off the boat in general.
Well, he sure cleaned up his act, though, after that. Man, once he got in trouble. And then the guy who doesn't seem to know him well at all, like the main dental implant guy who hired an opera singer for his wife's birthday. Was it his birthday or his wife? It was his birthday. I'm not even sure. Right? And he hired an opera singer. When the opera singer came, he's like, guys, I just wanted to do something that we're going to remember the rest of our lives. And she's like, and he's like, oh my God. He's like crying. He's like, I'm buckling. So that guy's actually like kind of sweet, but he had to have this talk with Amish, and he's like, okay, so had a conversation with the captain about you, and going into the cruise, you're gonna get kicked off the boat. Okay, great talking to you. Great talking to you. And then Amish really just cleaned up his act. I don't think he said another word the entire time.
He said nothing. And then on the last day, he went up to Captain Sandy and was like, hey, thanks for everything this trip. It was really great. You did a great job. I was really impressed, which I think is his way of saying, sorry, I was a drunken mess. I won't do that again.
Yeah, he even said, like, I just want to say that before I fuck everything up again or something. Yeah. And she was like, be a good boy. You go be a good boy now.
I actually really like the way Captain Sandy handled that, to be honest. Even though I just said, I'm surprised he wasn't kicked off the boat. The way that she told the primary, she was so matter of fact and was just like, this is the situation. I was actually impressed. I was like, that was a good way to deal with it, because for me, since I'm bad at confrontation, it would have been like this. So Amish, well, anyway, he was drunk and he was going into rooms, and like, I mean, he can go into rooms. It's fine. Like, I don't mind. I mean, he can go. I mean, you know what? He can go. Never mind. Anyway, I'll see you later. Bye. That's how I would have handled it. Bye.
Oh. Well, the chaos continues to grow and spin out of control. And they did keep, like you mentioned, they kept saying, okay, only 3 nights left, guys, only 3 nights left. Oh, we didn't talk about, so once the charter is over, it's crew go out night. So they all go out, and Kyle is... Earlier, he was saying something. Oh, and Jack is now my target because Jack is coming for me. Nah. But now that they go out, Jack is still not talking to him, but not in a shitty way where Kyle can cry victim. He's just not. He's not.
Doesn't care.
Acting like, oh, I can't sit. I think he's sitting right next to him.
Yeah.
You know, like he sits down right next to him. So he's not acting like he's a leper or something. But everybody is like, okay, let's have a good night, guys. No drama. And Kyle's like, well, speaking of, Jack, you and I are going to have a talk. Which, of course, he has to do in front of the entire fucking table. To
Right.
both A, make it look like he's a good person. Also to remind people that he's a victim. And C, to start... Was I counting or
You went from A to C, but I can give you
letters?
But while you come up with B, I just want to say this is all after Kyle says
No,
everyone.
that was C. I was about to do C.
Okay, well, I was going to say that he had just before that said to everyone, by the way, I'm going to get drunk tonight, so I apologize ahead of time for anything I say, which was his way of saying, like, I'm about to talk some massive shit about all of you, especially Jack.
All right. C was, to start some major drama because he's been without it. So I think at this point, he's like, okay, I'm going to fight with Jack, right? It's time for a commercial. It's time for a Crappens commercial. So they're like, oh, God. And Toomey's like, boys, behave yourselves. So he's like, and I just want to say, Jack, do we need to have a talk? Because the way that you're behaving. And Jack's like, you don't need to care so much. Like, that's what I could say about you. You're making up all this drama in your head. I don't really care. Oh, really? You will never. I really don't care to fight with you. He's like, all right, bros then. We're bros then, right? You will never say you're not my bro. I'll tell you that much. He's like, all right, fine. Like we're fine.
No, I can drink for joy and not to forget. So they're fine because Jack really doesn't give a shit about Kyle. Like Jack is truly, the expression, the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. Jack was indifference. Jack is just like, okay, this guy's a piece of shit. I don't care. I'm not going to spend any energy. And it worked because like you said, if Jack had made a big fuss about like, I'm not talking to you and I'm sitting across the table, that's what Kyle would feed off of. But Jack the guy's just immaterial to Jack. And it was great. It was great to see it happen. So that was the big...
Well, also, we saw Lily apologize because it's easier for Jack to ignore Kyle than it is for Lily. Right.
She has to work with
Lily is like in a position, she doesn't know what she's doing. She's in the middle of all these people who know a lot more than her. And she's already feeling stupid. She doesn't really have any friends. They're already all bonded. And then Kyle just starts giving her the cold shoulder and giving her one-word answers and is a total asshole to her. Mm-hmm. And so she finally has to apologize. She's like... it seems like you're a real good guy, which I don't know where you got that impression, but you seem like a really good guy. And, I didn't mean it the first night when you were saying stuff to me. I didn't really know what you were talking about. Well, we were just talking about banter. And he's like, oh, thank you so much for your apology then. You were forgiving.
You chose the right time to say it. It's like, oh, thanks, master of apologies. She had to do it. And he's basically like, you're so welcome. And thank you. That meant a lot. And also, by the way, going forward, don't put the iron in the drawing machine. It's not going to be very helpful. Okay, great. Bye. So, and the other thing is, the other thing was that Natalia is texting everyone. So Natalia's texting Luca. Natalia's texting, there's someone else, Jack, I think. So she's still texting, and we see in the trailer that she comes and joins them on land at some point. I don't know if that's going to be for the finale or not, but she's still around. So
yes,
that was pretty much.
She's gonna come back and spread her reign of terror. So we'll see.
Yeah. So that was pretty much what happened on Below Deck Med this week. Now let's pivot over to Southern Hospitality. So Southern Hospitality. A messy show. It's like little baby Vanderpump Rules. So season 1 of Vanderpump Rules was beautifully messy, and season 1 of this show was beautifully messy, and then season 2 of Vanderpump Rules was even messier and wonderful. And so far, season 2 of this show looks like it's going to be heading in that same direction, which makes me happy.
Well, it's always fun. I love this show. You know, it's an old waiter. Back in my day, an old service queen myself. Of course, I love waiting table shows. And this one is so funny because it's in this town, Charleston, where they all feel like they're like superstars in the next Hollywood because of Southern Charm, right? So there's all these influencers there now, and they really feel like they're hot shit. And season 2 of any show, people come back with season 2 face on, where they're like, okay, this is what people think of me, and this is, I know the game now, and this is what I'm gonna do. Dun, dun, dun. And it's just so funny to me, the things that they came back with. Like like Emmy and Will decided that they're going to come back and get revenge on Maddie, who I don't think ever did anything to them. But they're like, you know what? We're going to have a Maddie takedown. See, everyone's decided like this is going to be a huge Maddie takedown season. And I just think it's so funny. It's like, what is she even a captain? Like, what is she considered at the job? Like, she's so nice to you. She doesn't even tell you guys to stop drinking. Like, why are you taking down Maddie? What'd she do? She went to Tulum.
Emmy spends like the entire episode slinking around corners, listening in on Maddie, and having a look on her face like, what? She's like in a murder mystery. It's just like some sort of like silly murder mystery from like the 40s, where she's listening in and saying, I just hid something. What? And like she's just like behind a rack, behind a door frame, just listening in on Maddie.
She literally improvised or pantomimed herself holding a glass up to up to her ear and going, what?
What? By the way, Emmy is really becoming my favorite, really just because of her apartment. I have to say, like, I was impressed last season, but I'm even more impressed this season because she keeps her studio apartment immaculate. Like, that is a beautiful studio apartment. And, you know, when we all know the Vanderpump Rules apartments, they were these wretched, sad, carpeted, decaying, refrigerated places where the microwave and the air conditioner could not be on at the same place. Just these, like, rat-infested domiciles. And I have to say, you know, all these, she could have followed in those footsteps, and she has a beautiful studio apartment. Everything's clean, everything's painted, and I just feel like she needs to be applauded for putting some effort into making her little studio apartment television ready.
Yeah, well, I think it's a little unfair because we constantly give TJ shit for always vacuuming. And that brings me to my first complaint, which is, why didn't we get any shots of TJ vacuuming?
Yeah.
You guys can't give us an entire season that revolves around TJ vacuuming his apartment and then come back this season and we don't see him vacuum once.
That was shocking.
Once.
That was really shocking. I was upset about that. I was hoping we would see just a little bit more of TJ passing judgment on people. I actually got used to that. Like, I used to hate it, but now it's actually something I'm like tuning in for. And I was waiting to see more of him standing behind the bar saying, well, she just walked in. Because that was his whole thing. Last season was like Mikkel walked in and they're like, guess is back. Mikkel just walked in. Can you believe it? After everything that he did? But now TJ was just sort of like there. It wasn't right.
Because TJ is naturally like that. He's like naturally persnickety. Like, I really do think he's like a young version of the church lady from SNL, the Dana Carvey character. Like,
Yeah, he is.
who did that, Satan? You know, like really persnickety, just judgy gay. And I fucking love it. And I think maybe he's coming back a little bit more reserved because he got a lot of hate last season for being like that.
Yeah.
And so maybe he came back a tiny bit reserved, but everybody else came back extra TJE. And so it's making us not really see TJ as much because everybody else came back like, I'm going to be a fucking mess this season. You wait.
Yeah, especially Mia. Mia really tried hard. She's like, I'm going to have a moment. And Leva's like, you're fired. Wait, what?
Okay, so let's start going through this from the beginning. So we open with clips from last summer, random snippets on what went down. So Maddie just like trying to convince herself that she's like really happy. Like, I'm with Trevor now. I'm like, we are really happy. So here's what happened to me last season. Republic is everything. I went to Tulum where I saw Grace Lilly, but then like we both like the same guy, so she got like totally pissed off at me for no reason. I'm totally sober, which you can absolutely tell from every single confessional I have, like this one. And I ended up getting the man of my dreams, the guy who rides the horse and bike. What do they call him, Ben? What is he called? The bike? The bicycle buggy?
The
bicycle buggy.
It's like a rickshaw, like an urban rickshaw, or I guess rickshaws are urban.
Yeah.
It's like a
Rickshaw.
bike, but I feel like it's not a rickshaw. It's like it's a bike taxi.
Okay. So she's like, I'm happy. That's basically her season. And then we see her making out with Trevor a lot. And then everyone else, it just keeps cutting to the rest of the cast being like, I hate Trevor.
You know what? You know what? I want to wish one thing for my birthday. That Trevor would die. I hate Trevor.
Like, everybody hates this guy.
Yeah, and no one hates him more than Joey Marbles, also known as Joey Bottles, also known as just Joe Bradley. And he's like, Trevor cheated on Maddie, and like she went back to him. Like, it was just like terrible. Like, hey, he already cheated on you once. I don't know why you would go back.
Yeah, why would you go back to someone who cheated on your Joy Marbles?
Yeah,
so then we see Trevor and Maddie fucking in the motorhome on their way to NASCAR.
Yeah,
and they were taking their glamorous group vacation to NASCAR.
To NASCAR in Charlotte. And then Joe's like, Trevor's like a stereotypical douche in a movie. Like, once a cheater, always a cheater. Yeah, he just got marbled. Yeah. So then we see...
now, coming up this summer on Southern Hospitality, fucking Leva. You know, there are a lot of lottery winners. So, look, my point is we know that luck exists. Okay? Like, I'm not going to go down the whole list of people who have been lucky. Lottery winners, I think, is general enough that we all get it. I don't think anyone is luckier than Leva. Leva has... she has like less than zero charisma or presence at all, and she doesn't even want to be here. How is Leva even here? It's like they plucked Leva out of nowhere. She just comes and she's like, welcome to an entire show centered around me, Southern Hospitality. Why am I even here? Why are you making me do this? Like, who is holding a gun to Leva's head? They gave you your own show. Perk up.
I enjoyed Leva. And generally speaking, I've often enjoyed people without charisma on these shows, just because I find them fascinating. And they gave us a new one, Leva's new sidekick, Leah, which we'll get into.
Amazing.
So Leah's my favorite.
Casting.
Like, I love Leah in this. So so this summer, Maddie's saying, I believed him, and when he said he would never do it again, and he cheated. And everyone's like, yeah, it's Trevor. Hello. We told you so. So she's like, you told me you would never do it, text her again. You lied to me, Trevor.
And then everyone having to hold her back and her being like, you need to stay the fuck away from my boyfriend. Like, what did you fuck my boyfriend? You are fucking trash. And everyone's just holding her back like, don't do it. Don't ruin your life as a assistant manager to Bottle Girls.
Your DJ career is just about to explode. Don't do this. Don't do this, Maddie.
So, and that was like our big coming up this season. So, they've changed our uniforms, right? What were their uniforms before? Because now they're doing this like Lisa Vanderpump pink satin kind of cocktail dress / prom dress ball gown thing.
Their uniforms are always different. I mean, last season, famously, like their first uniform was like this fluorescent green thing that they wore that covered up barely an areola. And I say that not from a prudish place, but just because they were all wearing it. And Leva's like, I'm all about female empowerment, and I just want to see women supporting women. I just want women to win. Now wear this nipple cover as your dress. So, but I think it changes from night to night at Republic. Am I wrong? Like from event to event?
Well, I noticed that Maddie was wearing a pink one, and then Grace Lily was wearing a blue one, so I don't know. So 6 weeks earlier, before all this drama, I think we opened this way last year, or at least it's the first scene I remember. You know how you don't remember the first thing that ever happened in your life, but there's like something so impactful that's your first memory? I think my first memory of the show was Joey Marble's naked getting out of the shower.
Yeah.
And it's an old tradition started by Vanderpump Rules with the guys. It's unfortunately carried on with Shep in Southern Charm, which is yikes. Nobody needs it. But God, Joey Marbles, what a cute little butt.
Yeah.
So glad to have you back to sexually harass. And you too, Will. Ding.
Yeah, Will gets a very long and extended butt scene. It was up on screen for a while.
Yes.
So and we see Bradley doing push-ups. That's right, because there's Joey Marbles is Joe Bradley, but then there's also a Bradley, right? Like it's confusing. So
Yes,
and then
it is confusing.
And then Maddie's over at Trevor's place, and Trevor's shaving. Trevor really looks like maybe like Theodore from Alvin and the Chipmunks, right? Like it's kind of like this is who she decided. Like she's going to like isolate herself from all her friends for this Theodore-looking guy, and he's shaving, and she's like, "Wait a second, are you gonna shave your whole beard?" And he's like, "No, because then you'd be dating like an 18-year-old if I did that." And they're like, yeah, you'd be like Justin Bieber. It'd be great.
Yeah, and so we see a clip of them when they first met, and he's like a little kid with his dad. It's a weird picture to show. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, I've been sober for 9 years, and recovery taught me that, like, people get second chances because, I had to fight for my own life. So I got second chances. And so, yeah, Trevor and I are living together, and we're happy, and I'm in love. Okay, wait. Second chances... That was you giving yourself. That was you earning it. You know what I mean? Like sobering up is you actually making an effort.
You made
and
a
earning
change
it.
in your
Trevor
life.
didn't do anything to earn it. He just showed back up the second there were cameras up again.
Yeah,
Come on.
you get a second chance because you made a fundamental shift and change in your life. He literally just refilled the air on his bike taxi. like there's nothing different about him. So she's basically using like her sobriety as a shield for critics who are saying like, why are you back with a schmuck? So Trevor pulls out a charcuterie board from his fridge. He's like, I didn't have breakfast, but I have a charcuterie board. And she's like, wait a second, you made this? Look at you being a housewife. And it's just like a little tray with like 4 pieces of prosciutto and some grapes on it. And she's like very impressed.
Gotta love that charcuterie. And he's like, yeah, and also I'm gonna take out the trash later. She's like, oh my God, marriage. So she's like, you know what this is like? This is like looking into the future and like seeing something in the future. Like not today, but like in the future. Maybe today. I mean, if we wanted today, I would do today. But like not today, but like in the future. This is not today, but like soon. Not long, but soon.
Yeah. It's like I can see already when I'm the ripe old age of 38 and we're eating charcuterie for breakfast then. And it's just like we're having charcuterie for breakfast now. And it's like, wow, this is our future. It's amazing.
Despite everyone always being against my relationship, like I saw him as my soulmate. Okay, you're dumb. And I hope you feel dumb that they keep playing these clips.
Yeah.
Because they're really rubbing it in right now to poor Maddie, who ends up getting fucked over literally by the end of the episode. I mean, I thought it would take at least until episode 3 or 4, but wow, they just jumped right into it.
Yeah. So she's like, all right, well, I got to go work bottle service now. I like being showered with love and respect and food. He goes, I thought you were going to say sex. Yeah, and sex too. God, I love looking into our future.
So now they're playing like kind of military music, and we see, because they're going to work at Republic, which is, you guys, you have to be so disciplined at Republic. It's like being in the military.
Yeah.
So we go and we see the line outside of Republic, and they're playing a song that's like, big moves on the circuit, big moves on the circuit. This is basically some homely people who no one's told them they're home. I don't know how to explain the crowd outside of Republic, but the way they talk about Republic and then sing the crowd, I was like, is there a Tommy Bahama shirt sale? Like, what's happening?
They always act as if they have the hottest club in Vegas or in Miami. Like this is the hottest ticket to get an Art Basel week in Miami, but in reality it's basically people who just came from like the Bass Pro Shop who now want to go out dancing afterwards. Like, yeah, Republic is the #1 place to go to after Topgolf, and we serve the clientele that way.
It's the after bar.
Yeah.
for Topgolf. So we see shots of the bar, which I still cannot tell how big this place is. It looks like a hallway. It doesn't look very big. And we hear that it's very small too. So it's not like my eyes are doing all that much work. We hear it's really tiny, but it's amazing how they shoot it to look like it could be bigger, right?
Yeah,
But
they
it's
make
not.
it look
It's like a tiny
enormous.
hallway.
They literally make it look like a towel. But people have actually messaged us and said, "Oh, I went to Republic and it was tiny." So they do great work at making it seem huge. And MTV does that, but it looks enormous.
Commercials. Here comes one right now.
So we also meet the new VIP server. As his name it looks like it's spelled Oysin, but I think it's Osin, how they said his name?
Oysin.
Oysin?
They say Oysin, but then someone calls him Oshin. So I don't know if it's like Ocean. Dun, dun, dun.
I don't know.
But he's a douche. He's a total douche, which I love. He's like a long-haired, hot douche.
Yeah.
I think is he from Ireland?
He's from, I know, I think he's from Tulum. I think he might, well, I don't know. I mean, his accent sounds...
He talks like that, doesn't he? Talks like that. Well, that's not Irish either, isn't it? But it sounds like that. He's talking like that.
You know what? There was an accent, and I think because they met him in Tulum, I just projected a Spanish accent onto him. And I wonder if it was like my brain playing a trick because I just heard Tulum.
You're going to hear Tulum a lot because we are watching Southern Hospitality. They say Tulum a lot on this show. I mean, they love Tulum. They love it.
They love it.
So Leva, Joey Marbles gives Oysen a fist bump. He's like, oi! So then Leva's like, Republic is like the true essence of Southern hospitality. Oh, really? Republic is the true essence of Southern hospitality. Leva, is it? It's like, yeah, that's why we've been in business for 10 years.
By the way, I think you're right. Because his last name, I looked him up on Instagram. His last name is O'Neill, and his little bio says marketing master for NKD Marketing and Bravo Southern Hospitality. But then he writes down EIRE, EIRE, stands for Ireland. So I think you're correct.
Ah, there you go.
All right, good job.
Yeah. God, I was worried because Below Deck Med's ending, and I was like, where are we gonna, use a really terrible Lucky Charms
I'm
accent?
so glad.
Again. By the way, there's no one Irish on Below Deck Med this year.
No,
Still use it.
Bravo's a TV official site. According to his official Bravo bio, he's from Wicklow, Ireland. So Irish accent it is.
There you go.
There you go. So they met him in Tulum, which is where all of the sordid backstories for this show seem to come from, which I loved. I love that they were still like mining Tulum for more people and storylines.
So Leva's like, there's like tons of competition in Charleston, but people come to my club because my VIP team is going to always get the party started. Okay, do you even know what you're saying? Are you just reading these off cue cards? You know the plot for the rest of the show, right? Because you're literally leading it, Leva. I think it's still funny that they're still using this. Like, my team is going to party it up. Except that they don't party anymore because that's a rule, which is totally my idea. And we're putting it into effect right now, right when the camera started.
I have to say, Ronnie, when I go to a club, my first thought is, I really hope they have a good VIP team that's going to help my party get started. Because that's how I know I'll want to go to this club. It's always the first consideration is the quality of the VIP team.
Yeah, totally. Like when I go to Chili's, I really want to know that my waiter enjoys an awesome blossom just as much as I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
is that Outback?
Outback is awesome blossom. No, Bloomin' Onion. Bloomin' Onion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, it's like, when I go to a club, it's, music, who cares? Drinks, who cares? Vibe, who cares? VIP staff, only priority for me. That's what I need. If they don't bring out a good sign with sparklers, then it's like, why even be there?
Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
So it's a busy night in the club, and TJ, in his like persnickety shit starting little way, it's like, is Maddie here? And they're like, no, where is Maddie? Well, Maddie's never here. So Chris, the new general manager, who's just kind of schlubby, he's kind of a Barney Rubble, he goes and finds Maddie in the kitchen, and she's cleaning her shoes, and he goes, what you doing, bud? She's like, cleaning my shoes? They get dirty. All right, bud. Well, listen, bud, I'm going to need you in the meeting because I don't have time to relay this information again, all right? You're going to get it in the meeting, and that's it.
Yeah, so the big thing is that they have a new room for meetings because last year they were like sitting on basically paint canisters and like...
Isn't this the same room? Is it a different room?
I thought that they said it was a new room. I don't seem to remember a big vacant blue room. But I mean, there could have been. It's hard to remember. I have memories of every time they had a staff meeting, they were literally sitting on like bulk cases of Fabuloso. Like I don't remember like a big blue room with couches in it. But maybe it was. I don't know. Should have done my research.
So they're in the meeting, and Oysen's like, can't believe we're not allowed to have a baby. Like, we're not allowed, can you believe it? And Maddie's like, yeah, I know, we're all really upset about it right now, but you know what? We just got to keep going. We just got to keep going.
So Leva says, sadly, over the past few years, we got a little loose with our rules. And we see like everyone getting drunk. We see Grace Lily, doing the Grace Lily thing. We see Mia being like, I'm so glad I can be here. I can work here and just like chill with a glass of champagne and want to go on a break. So they're all getting wasted on the job.
Yeah, because like I'm in finance, and so it's like so nice to come to work and just chill because I'm in finance. So then back to Leva, she's like, yeah, it's my fault because like I do like to be a friendly boss. Like I'm not a fucking monster, like I get first chances and second chances and third chances and like fourth chances and fifth chances and sixth. Leva, can you guys just edit out half of Leva's monologue? Why do I have to sit through it?
Yeah. So she goes, this year we're going back to the rule book. Here are your rules. Be on time, respect managers, don't drink, okay? Because I have a business to run. And if there's insubordination, you're fired. You're out. And then we see her. She now has a new monitor.
I would just like to request a new rule on there. Wash your hands, okay? Because I've seen this show. That rule needs to be somewhere on this show. Wash your fucking hands.
Yeah. I don't know. I understand why on Below Deck you don't want to have your staff drinking. And generally speaking, you don't want to have your staff drinking on the job. But I do feel like at a nightclub, it's probably okay. Like, I feel like that might be an exception to the case. It doesn't really bother me as much. There's no yacht that might crash. There's no heavy machinery necessarily. I don't know. I feel like...
Well, she just said it in her line before, which is why I was cracking up that she even said it. She's like, my VIP party, it's going to make sure you're partying right, because they're like, she kind of insinuates that they're partying with you. And last year that was her thing. They were like, people come to Republic because we're the best people to party with, and we party with you. And you don't just get access to Republic, you get access to me. That was kind of their big thing. So for her to be like, oh, and now you can't drink when you party with the guys it's just weird.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a weird line to draw.
It's obviously trying to go for drama or trying to just fire people that maybe she wanted to fire anyway. I don't know.
Yeah. So now she has a screen of cameras in her office, like a giant wall. Which, by the way, half of them are not working. So how about like as long as we're revising the rules, why don't you fix your cameras? Because there was like 7 different like black screens on there. I'm like, this is not a very effective wall of security.
Yeah, you're a real Baldwin over there, Sliver. Okay,
yeah.
It's like that movie Sliver where she's got like 20 video cameras. You don't even have room for 20 video cameras. What do you like? One is the outside of her garage at home. It's like, well, I guess my husband's home, so that's good.
She has a camera on Gwen's. I just want to see what the parking situation's like if I go over there later.
I just want to see like who's buying like satin dresses with giant ruffles on it today, basically.
I know. It was like the head of household room on Big Brother. So Grace Lily says, so in honor of Lucia not being here today, and everyone boos. So Lucia, who seemed to be one of the most responsible people on this show, actually got fired. That's what we find out.
Yeah, well, we all miss her, okay, guys? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to burn some sage, because she loves sage. So in honor of Lucia, who's dead now, let's burn sage. And then we see a clip at Lucia's apartment. Her kid's, like, running around playing. And she's like, I'm terminated by text message. I'm told Lucia Peña is no longer employed at Republic. And Mia's like, oh, my God, you did drink on the job, and we're not supposed to drink on the job, right? Like, is that what happened? I'm in finance. that. So
The numbers aren't adding up. And I say that as someone in finance. And Lucia's like, I just took one swig. And she's like, and you didn't get any warning from Republic at all? She's like, no, literally my first infraction in 7 years and I'm fired.
And Mia's like, literally firing a single mother for a first offense? I mean, that is nuts. And then Mia's like, what the fuck, doodles? Because the kid's just sitting there like, staring at them. So then we go back to the meeting and Mia's like, guys, like, you know that before I started to work here, I was a patron here because I can afford to be finance. And Lucia was my favorite bottle service girl. So I'm just going to say that.
Well, maybe we should pass the sage around and we just sprayed it all over this room. And so Mia says, if Leva fired every employee, especially the ones that don't work in finance, that had a shot of alcohol in her establishment, she would have fired everybody except for Maddie, who's sober. What I'm trying to say is we all drink.
So Maddie and Joe come in and Joe's like, I'm going to say some business stuff right now. So listen, guys, we're going to do a good job pushing people tonight, turning things over, really rolling over everything, turning. We're going to stack it and we're going to pile it. Everybody got it? This is the business.
And Grace Lily, give them a good first impression at the front door. Give them your best. Come on in, come on in. I know you can kill it, Grace Lily. Just do it.
Now, I know you haven't actually worked here, since we stopped shooting, so just practice, okay, Grace? Give us, what are you going to say at the front door?
I'll blow ya.
No, reel it in a little bit, Grace. Reel it in a little bit.
So Joe tells us, last summer was like not my brightest in the lady department. Ha ha ha. And they're like, yeah, Joe's an idiot. And they're just talking about how last summer Joe confessed his love for Maddie and then like 45 minutes later, I guess, made out with Mia and then told her that he was just like he really dropped the ball on that front.
Yeah, he like tried to profess his love for Maddie once she already was getting back together with Trevor, and then when he didn't get it with her, he tried with Mia, and then was like, I mean, come on. When they both confronted him together, it's like, I mean, come on. I'm like hitting on you after I just like told my best friend I'm in love with her. Do you even think that was real?
Yeah.
So he was kind of a douche.
Yeah, but they've forgiven him. Like Mia's just like whatever. Like we're friends. So they're back to being. I guess they're all back to being friends right now. So Joe's like, oh, yeah, I'm like done pining for Maddie and Mia no longer wants to rip my head off, which is great. Like, I can just go back to being Joey Marbles. Ha, ha, ha. It's a new year. It's a new Joe. And I'm ready to get back in the game and start dating. Wink. Wink. Yeah. Wink.
It's like really hard for me to wink. I'm going to try winking again. I like that they gave him like Joey Marbles 2.0. There's always got to be a guy who's coming back as the newest version of themselves on these shows.
Yeah.
So Joe introduces Oysen on his first night as the new bottle boy. And Maddie's like, yeah, Grace, Lily, and I met Oysen in Tulum because where else? And he's like, Team Money. That's what we're here for. Team Money, whoosah! I was running a lot of events out in Tulum. Secluded parties out in the middle of the jungle in Mexico.
I feel like his parties were all strange, like tantric sex, experiences. Like people would just get naked in the jungle and then he'd pass around like ayahuasca or something like that, or some sort of strange beverages, like enjoyed out of a coconut, and they'd be like touching and feeling. Like I just imagine that's what his VIP experience was.
Yeah, this guy's fucking for money out in the middle of the jungle.
Right.
He just doesn't want to pay for a hotel room. So Grace is like, yeah, he was dancing on the tables, dancing with all the hot girls. And Maddie's like, yeah, in an orange fucking Speedo, which was kind of oddly attractive. Like, we had a moment, but it was just a moment.
And he's like, I love girls. Amazing. So Maddie is like, so, hey, by the way, have you met Leah? She's the new CEO. She's here. You're going to meet her. So then we see Leah.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. And then we see Leah, the most awkward person on this show, walking around like, I'm going to hand out an infraction to somebody. Who's going to get an infraction? Who's going to get an infraction? You got time to lean? You got time to clean? That's an infraction. Watch it, mister.
Leah is definitely She is like you're watching a high school play and someone has to play the boss in the high school play, and that's Leah. She's like, I'm going to wear a business suit because this is what bosses wear.
Yeah, she wears like businessy clothes that just don't fit her right. My guess is that poor Leah does not have one well-tailored outfit that fits well. She's just walking around in a bunch of rayon things with collars going, infraction, infraction. And then we learn one of her favorite things to say later is, you know what we're going to do? Nip it in the bud. That's what we're going to do. We are about to nip this in the bud.
Yeah, she just looks like she just looks like a middle schooler dressed in adult clothes, going around being like, I'm the boss now, and I'm going to hand that in fractions. Nothing but in fractions. We're going to nip it in the bud. That's what bosses do.
Yep. So they ash out. The meeting is coming to a start. So Oysen ashes out the sage on the table. And Maddie's like, "Wait a minute! You have to clean that. We have to keep it clean back here now, guys." And he's like, "It's all right, darling. Don't you worry your pretty little head about it." And he's like, "Oh my God, you're like literally going to be fired right now."
So then we hear a song, and it's like, let's go, hands in the air, headed for the game, let's go. The unofficial anthem of Republic Bar and Lounge.
So in case you guys are not buying that this is a totally LA Hollywood and only famous people come here, welcome Olivia from Southern Charm.
Yeah.
And some creepy friends.
Huge star.
And they're like,
Oh my God, it's Olivia from Southern Charm.
Everyone drop what you're doing. Olivia from Southern Charm is at the door. Get there now. Swarm with bottles and free drinks.
So Oysen's like, Emmy, babe, you're going to show me some tricks or what? What am I supposed to do here tonight? Is there any kind of training? And she's like, I'll go order a bottle of Dom, okay? And then guess what? We're going to bring it out with glow sticks because that's what we do here. And he's like, wait a minute, what about the signs? Are we going to bring out the sign? And Brad, I think Joe goes, yeah, you know what? We should bring out a sign. And you know what it should say? Hold on, let me think about it. Superstars. That's what it should say.
That's good. Superstars. Go for it, Joe. Go. Do it. This is why we get paid the big bucks.
The poetry of Republic. Superstars. So Leva goes to see Leah, CEO, and her assistant Michelle in the green room. And she's like, okay, guys, does it smell like weed in here? Do you even pretend to work here? They just said that Lucia lit sage every single night here, and you don't recognize the smell. Just go home. Replace. I vote replace Leva with Leah, CEO.
Yeah. So Leah's like, oh yeah, there's sage. I can tell because I'm a CEO and I hand out infractions. Well, Lucia's gone, so let the sage be gone too. Hi-ya, I just chopped it away.
Yeah, just got rid of sage. That's going in the handbook. And Leva's like, yeah, you know what else sage is? A fire hazard. And then he goes, yeah, pretty much.
We're on top of things now. So, you know what's a fire hazard? Things that were on fire once. So Leva's like, you know what? We just promoted Leah to head boss. And I just call her the Hammer.
Yeah. So she's like, okay, Leah. You're the Hammer. So just give a monologue to the camera. She's like, I don't really know how to do that. Just go ahead, Leah. Just make it up. You're a boss, okay? You're in rayon. And she's like, okay. Listen, I can do this because I'm not emotional. You know why? Because we're running a business. So let me do the dirty work so we can keep rocking and rolling the way we're supposed to. Infractions. She's like, yes, nailed it.
Leva's like, yeah, Leah was out in Vegas working some pretty big hotels. Yeah. You ever heard of the NGN? It's not the MGM, it's the NGN. Yeah, it's there too. And she worked it, okay? And we really fought to have her here. And she said, I don't know if I could leave being the manager of this buffet. And we said, come on, we'll make it worth your time. So she sets it straight, okay? You should have seen all the people that tried to eat the breakfast food when it was turning over to lunch. She wouldn't allow it because that's what she does. She's a boss. She's no nonsense. She's so efficient. She's like on it.
Yeah. You guys, no one can handle stress of Republic except for the woman who dealt with a seafood buffet all day. Seafood buffet. She's here, guys. We got her.
Yeah. We got her. So Leah's like,
So Leah's like, Sage stinks, it's gross, and it's a mess. We got to nip that in the bud.
there's too much sage back here. We got to nip this in the bud before all the customers smell sage a little bit. So then, meanwhile, the VIP team is hard at work making the superstar sign. They're literally acting like they're doing a puzzle on Survivor, like $1 million is on this. And they're like putting the letters in there. They're like, superstars. Does it say superstars? Is this working? Does it look good? Is this good? We can go out? Can we publish this? Can this go? Are we locked? Are we locked in with superstars? Okay, let's do it.
And Maddie says all of our guests are superstars because all of our tables are superstars. It's like, you're special, just like everyone else. My Meemaw's favorite bumper sticker. So then we see a group of tacky, dried-haired girls partying, and one of the girls is telling Oysen, she's like, oh my God, you should do a shot with me. He's like, I want to do a shot. Can I do a shot? Maddie, can I do one? She's like, I'm walking away. You do whatever you want. I cannot see anything. And Emmy's like, oh my God, do not do a shot. You're going to lose your job. Totally. Don't do it. He's like, I got it. Oysen will be doing shots later this season.
He definitely will be.
Wait.
But this is also Emmy being like a responsible coworker, as opposed to Maddie, who might be not setting up Ocean for success. Like he might get fired because she's being like, you do what you want to do, instead of saying like, don't do this, you'll get fired. I think they're trying to set that up a little bit.
Well, Emmy's coming for Maddie's gig, I think, right?
Probably.
Like, Emmy's like, Maddie doesn't even care about anything that goes on at Republic, but I told Oysen not to drink, so I basically own this place now.
And I would trust Emmy as a manager far more than Maddie. I mean, again, look at that apartment. It is immaculate. Look at where Maddie lives, okay? They couldn't even handle their charcuterie board. At one point, we didn't even talk about this. At one point, they had that charcuterie board sitting there, and what's-his-face just spins it, and like 3 olives go flying off onto the floor. This is not manager material here if you can't even figure out the physics that go into rotating a charcuterie board.
So
I'm being serious. I'm not cracking jokes here. This is a serious thing for me.
Yeah, you're very pro clean apartment, Hello there. This is a 2-part recap, okay? This is the end of part 1. So thank you so much for listening to this. Just come back a little later for part 2.
Watch What Crappens would like to thank its premium sponsors. Ain't no thing like Allison King.
Ashley Savoni, she don't take no baloney.
Stroll in the park with Caitlin Clark.
She's not just a Sheila, she's a Daniela. Itchels. Aaron McNicholas, she don't miss no trickolas.
She's never scary. It's the Green Fairy.
Jamie, she has no last namey.
Hava Nagila Weber. Know your worth with Jason Kurth.
She's the wind beneath our Jennifer Wing.
Sip some scotch with Jessica Trotch.
She's always supplying. It's Kelly Ryan.
Kristen the Piston Anderson. Let's give a kisserino to Lisa Lino. Megan Berg. You can't have a burger without the Berg.
The Bay Area Betches.
And our super premium sponsors.
Somebody get us 10 cc's of Betsy MD.
We're taking the gold with Brenda Silva.
Let's get real with Caitlin O'Neill.
Don't get salty with Christine Pepper. Can't have a meal without the Emily Sides.
Nobody holds a candle to Jamie Kendall.
She's not harsh, she's Jill Hirsch.
She's a little bit loony. Junie. My favorite Murdo, Karen McMurdo. We love him madly. It's Kyle Pod Shadley.
Let's go on a bender with Lauren Fender. We want to hang with Liz Lang. The incredible edible Matthews sisters.
Give him hell, Miss Noel.
She's the queen bee, it's Sarah Lemke.
Shannon, out of a cannon, Anthony. Let's take off with Tamla Plain.
She's quite the catch. It's Victoria Cotchett.
She ain't no shrinking Violet Kuchar. We love you guys.
Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Watch What Crappens ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the Amazon Music app today. Or you can listen ad-free with Wondery Plus in Apple Podcasts. Before you go, tell us about yourself by completing a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.